Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the massive metal wall that should not exist. He had been mining copper in the Montana mountains for 15 years and never seen anything like this. The drill had hit something, hard 200 feet underground, and now Jake stood in a tunnel looking at smooth black metal that stretched beyond his flashlight beam. The metal was warm to touch and covered with strange symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. Jake ran his fingers along the surface and felt no rust or damage despite being buried for who knows how long. This was not human technology, and Jake knew it. His hands shook as he took photos with his phone and called his supervisor. Within hours, the mining site buzzed with activity. Scientists arrived from universities across the country, followed by military personnel, who quickly took control of the area. Dr. Lisa Carter was the first expert to rappel down into the tunnel, and when she saw the metal wall, her jaw dropped. She had studied alien artifacts her whole career, but never expected to find something this big. The excavation took 3 months. Heavy machines dug carefully around what turned out to be a massive spacecraft buried deep in the mountain. The ship was enormous, measuring nearly 2 miles from front to back and half a mile wide. Its black hull showed signs of terrible damage with huge tears and burn marks across its surface. Whatever had happened to this ship had been violent. Captain Ryan Hayes arrived when the military realized the scope of the discovery. He was a career officer who had spent years preparing for the day humans might encounter alien technology. As he walked through the first cleared section of the ship, he could barely believe what he was seeing. The corridors were built for creatures, roughly human size, but everything felt different and wrong. The ship's interior was a maze of twisted metal and broken systems. Emergency lighting still functioned in some areas, casting an eerie blue glow through the passages. Dr. Carter's team found what appeared to be crew quarters filled with personal items that looked almost familiar, but not quite right. Strange clothes, hung in lockers alongside devices whose purpose remained mysterious. Maria Santos was the computer specialist assigned to find any working systems. She spent weeks crawling through damaged sections before discovering a partially functioning terminal, deep in what appeared to be the ship's bridge. The screen showed symbols similar to those on the hull, and when Maria carefully pressed what looked like an activation switch, the display came to life. The breakthrough came when Kevin Brooks figured out how to access the ship's navigation system. The computer contained detailed star charts, showing not just Earth's location, but dozens of other worlds connected by what appeared to be travel routes. The implications were staggering. This ship had come from somewhere else, and its crew knew about many other planets. Danny White led the engineering team, trying to understand how the ship worked. They found evidence of advanced propulsion systems unlike anything in human technology. The engines used some form of exotic matter manipulation that could theoretically allow faster-than-light travel. If humans could figure out how it worked, they could finally reach the stars. Beth Taylor worked on decrypting the ship's communication logs. The alien language was completely foreign, but patterns began to emerge. She discovered that the ship was called something that roughly translated to Leviathan, and it had been part of a larger fleet. The logs mentioned Earth by name, along with coordinates that matched the solar system exactly. The most disturbing discovery came when Carl Johnson analyzed the ship's weapon systems. The Leviathan had been armed with devices that could destroy entire cities from orbit. Energy weapons far more powerful than anything humans possessed were built into the ship's hull. This had been a warship designed for conquest, and Earth had been its target. Nancy Wright found the ship's medical bay, and the discovery there changed everything. Preserved biological samples showed that the aliens were not the monsters humans had imagined. They were mammals with 2 arms and 2 legs, standing roughly 6 feet tall. Their DNA was similar enough to human DNA that they probably came from similar evolutionary pressures. The terrifying aliens were just people from another world. Senator Amy Collins arrived to inspect the discovery and immediately understood the political implications. If news of the alien ship became public, it would cause panic around the world. People would demand answers about why aliens had targeted Earth and whether more ships might be coming. The discovery had to remain classified until they understood more. General Frank Rodriguez had different concerns. For centuries, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe, and now they knew the answer. Not only were there other intelligent species, but at least one had tried to invade Earth. The general believed humans needed to prepare for war, and this ship might be their only advantage. The ship's AI system remained mostly inactive, despite the team's best efforts. Whatever intelligence had controlled the Leviathan was damaged beyond easy repair. However, Lisa Carter's team managed to access enough data to piece together what had happened. The ship had been part of an invasion fleet that arrived at Earth. Over 300 years ago, the invasion had failed catastrophically. Historical records from the 1800s mentioned strange lights in the sky and unexplained explosions, but no one had connected these events to alien activity. The Leviathan had crashed during the battle, and its crew had apparently evacuated in smaller ships. They had abandoned their most powerful vessel rather than risk it falling into human hands. Jake Morrison often returned to look at the ship he had discovered. The simple miner had uncovered humanity's first proof that they were not alone in the universe. He watched scientists and engineers crawling through the massive vessel, trying to understand technology that was centuries ahead of human capabilities. Sometimes he wondered if finding the ship had been a blessing or a curse. The arguments between political leaders grew heated as months passed. Some wanted to study the ship peacefully and try to contact its builders. Others believed humans needed to prepare for the next invasion by learning to use alien weapons. The Leviathan represented both humanity's greatest opportunity and its greatest threat. Ryan Hayes spent his days walking through the ship's corridors imagining what it would be like to command such a vessel. The aliens had built something magnificent and terrible. If humans could figure out how to repair and operate the Leviathan, they would possess power beyond their wildest dreams. But first, they had to survive the process of learning to use it. Discovery teams worked around the clock knowing that every day brought new revelations about their place in the universe. Earth was not isolated and protected as humans had always believed. They lived in a galaxy full of other intelligent species, and at least one of those species considered humans to be enemies. The Leviathan was proof that humanity needed to be ready for whatever came next from the stars above. Danny White stood before the Leviathan's massive engine room, feeling like an ant trying to understand a cathedral. The alien propulsion system stretched for hundreds of meters in every direction, filled with technology that defied human understanding. Crystalline structures pulsed with faint energy, while metal conduits twisted through impossible geometries. This was the heart of faster-than-light travel, and Danny's job was to make it work again. The reconstruction project began with President Harrison's executive order creating the Xenotech division under Dr. Lisa Carter's leadership. Congress allocated unlimited funding after seeing classified reports about the ship's capabilities. General Rodriguez assembled teams of the brightest engineers and scientists from around the world. If humans were going to claim this alien legacy, they needed their best minds working together. Maria Santos had made the first breakthrough by establishing basic communication with the ship's damaged AI. The artificial intelligence was like a wounded animal hiding in the depths of the computer system. Maria spent weeks earning its trust by carefully repairing damaged circuits and providing stable power to critical systems. When the AI finally began responding, it spoke in mathematical concepts that gradually evolved into simple words. The AI called itself Nexus and had served aboard the Leviathan for over 2 centuries before the crash. It retained vast knowledge about ship operations, but much of its memory remained corrupted. Nexus became humanity's teacher, revealing alien engineering principles one careful lesson at a time. The AI seemed curious about humans and asked many questions about Earth's development since the invasion. Kevin Brooks led the team studying the ship's exotic matter containment systems. The aliens had learned to harness dark energy, creating a form of propulsion that warped space itself. Human physics barely understood these concepts, but the working examples aboard the Leviathan provided invaluable insights. Kevin's calculations suggested the ship could travel between star systems in weeks rather than centuries. The first major accident happened when Carl Johnson's team tried to activate a secondary power relay. The alien safety systems interpreted their actions as hostile and released defensive drones that had remained dormant for 300 years. The drones killed 3 researchers before Danny's team could shut down power to that section. The tragedy reminded everyone that they were playing with forces beyond human comprehension. Beth Taylor worked closely with Nexus to decrypt the ship's vast databases. The AI gradually revealed star charts showing the locations of alien colonies and military installations. The Leviathan's builders called themselves the Zephyrian Empire and controlled 12 star systems. Their technology was advanced, but not magical, and their society had been built through conquest rather than peaceful expansion. Nancy Wright's biological analysis revealed disturbing parallels between human and Zephyrian development. Both species had evolved from mammalian ancestors and developed similar social structures. The aliens were not monsters, but people who had chosen to become conquerors. Their empire expanded by enslaving or destroying other intelligent species, and Earth had been next on their list. The reconstruction faced enormous technical challenges. Zephyrian metallurgy used materials that did not exist on Earth. Their computers operated on quantum principles that human technology could barely simulate. Even simple tasks like opening doors required understanding alien assumptions about physics and engineering. Progress measured in millimeters felt like major victories. Grace Mitchell joined the project as intelligence analyst studying captured Zephyrian records. The Empire maintained detailed files on hundreds of species they had encountered or conquered. Humans rated as primitive but potentially dangerous due to their rapid technological development and aggressive nature. The Zephyrians had planned to strip Earth of resources and relocate survivors to prison colonies. The ship's weapons systems presented the greatest ethical dilemma. Lisa Carter's team discovered that the Leviathan carried planet-killing devices designed to shatter worlds from orbit. The moral implications were staggering, but General Rodriguez argued that humans needed every advantage they could get. If the Zephyrians returned, Earth had to be ready to fight back with equal force. Tony Russell commanded the first human crew to achieve basic flight capability in one of the ship's auxiliary craft. The small vessel used similar technology to the main ship, but was simple enough for humans to operate safely. Tony described the experience as magical, noting that the ship responded to thoughts as much as physical controls. Zephyrian technology interfaced directly with the pilot's nervous system. Linda Davis led security for the project, ensuring that no information leaked to the public. The world remained unaware that humanity's greatest discovery lay hidden beneath a Montana mountain. Linda's teams also dealt with increasing numbers of protesters who sensed something important was happening. Keeping the secret became harder as the project grew larger and more complex. Helen Cruz served as the project's psychological counselor, helping team members cope with the implications of their work. Many researchers suffered nightmares about alien invasion or felt overwhelmed by technologies they could barely understand. Helen's sessions revealed that humans were adapting to alien concepts faster than anyone expected. The human mind seemed remarkably flexible when faced with the impossible. Sam Cooper worked on reverse engineering Zephyrian manufacturing systems. The aliens had built machines that could reshape matter at the molecular level, creating any tool or weapon they needed. If humans could master these fabrication systems, they could build their own alien technology. Sam's team successfully produced their first Zephyrian alloy after 18 months of careful experimentation. Peter Kim commanded the Marine unit assigned to explore dangerous sections of the ship. His teams discovered additional weapons caches and what appeared to be prison cells designed for human captives. The evidence suggested that the Zephyrians had planned not just invasion, but systematic enslavement of Earth's population. The discovery hardened military resolve to weaponize the Leviathan. Admiral Victoria Park arrived to assess the project's military potential. She had spent her career preparing for conflicts in space, and the Leviathan represented humanity's ticket to the stars. Victoria began planning how to use the ship as the flagship of Earth's first interstellar fleet. The Admiral believed that humans needed to take the war to the aliens before they could mount another invasion. The breakthrough moment came when Danny's team achieved stable power throughout most of the ship. Lights flickered on in sections that had been dark for centuries, while Nexus began accessing previously locked databases. The AI revealed that the Leviathan had been the flagship of the Zephyrian Third Fleet and carried technologies that other ships in their fleet did not possess, as My. The second year of reconstruction ended, the Leviathan began to truly come alive. Corridors hummed with power while alien systems initialized for the first time since the crash. Nexus reported that primary systems were approaching operational status and actual flight might be possible within months. Humanity stood on the verge of claiming its first starship, but the question remained whether they were ready for what came next among the stars. Captain Alex Stone gripped the alien control interface as the Leviathan lifted off from Earth for the first time in 3 centuries. The massive ship rose silently from its mountain hangar, while human engineers held their breath watching displays. They barely understood. Alex had trained for 2 years to pilot this vessel, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of commanding alien technology. The ship's bridge felt alive around him as Nexus integrated with his nervous system through bioneural connectors. Thoughts became commands, while the AI translated human intentions into alien actions. Alex could feel the ship's vast power flowing through systems designed by minds that understood physics differently than humans. The Leviathan was no longer just a machine, but an extension of his will. Admiral Victoria Park watched from the command center as Earth fell away beneath the rising starship. 5 years of reconstruction had led to this moment when humanity would take its first steps into interstellar space. The Leviathan carried not just human hopes but human anger, built up over centuries of wondering if they were alone. Now they knew they were not alone, and their cosmic neighbors had tried to enslave them. The first mission was reconnaissance, using the ship's advanced sensors to map Zephyrian space and identify potential targets. Nexus had provided coordinates for 12 star systems controlled by the Empire, but current intelligence was 300 years old. The AI warned that much could have changed since the failed invasion, but the basic locations should remain accurate. Grace Mitchell coordinated intelligence gathering from her station aboard the ship. As the Leviathan entered hyperspace, she began analyzing long-range sensor data looking for signs of Zephyrian activity. The Empire's technology signature was distinct from human devices, making their installations relatively easy to identify. What Grace found surprised everyone with its implications. The Zephyrian Empire was vast but showed signs of strain. Sensor readings revealed military installations throughout their territory, but also evidence of conflict and rebellion. Some worlds appeared to be under siege, while others had gone dark completely. The monolithic empire that had threatened Earth seemed to be fighting wars on multiple fronts. Kevin Brooks monitored the ship's exotic matter systems during the journey between stars. The Leviathan moved through hyperspace like a ghost sliding between dimensions, while reality blurred around them. Human physics had no framework for understanding faster-than-light travel, but the experience was unmistakably real. They were crossing distances that would take conventional ships centuries. The target system appeared on sensors after 3 days of travel. Kepler 442 contained a Zephyrian mining operation, according to Nexus, but current scans showed minimal defenses. A handful of warships guarded automated extraction platforms, while the bulk of the Empire's military seemed engaged elsewhere. Alex Stone smiled grimly as he realized they had found the perfect first target. Beth Taylor established communication intercepts as they approached the mining system. Zephyrian communications revealed a species remarkably similar to humans in their concerns and complaints. Miners complained about working conditions while supervisors worried about production quotas. These were not the monsters of human nightmares, but ordinary people living ordinary lives under an oppressive government. The attack began at dawn on the primary mining world. Alex brought the Leviathan out of hyperspace directly above the largest extraction facility, while Maria Santos activated weapon systems that had remained dormant since the invasion of Earth. Energy beams lanced down from orbit, turning Zephyrian installations into expanding clouds of superheated gas. The enemy response was swift but futile. 3 Zephyrian warships moved to intercept the Leviathan, but their weapons barely scratched its reinforced hull. These were patrol vessels designed to intimidate miners, not battle cruisers built for serious combat. Alex destroyed 2 ships with surgical precision, while the third fled deeper into the system, carrying news of humanity's return. Tony Russell led the first human strike force to set foot on an alien world. His fighters launched from the Leviathan's bays using hybrid technology that combined human piloting skills with Zephyrian engineering. The small craft moved like nothing humans had ever built before, responding to thought as much as physical control. Tony felt like he was flying pieces of pure possibility. The ground assault teams found a world that looked remarkably like Earth. Zephyrian cities rose from landscapes that could have been human colonies, if not for the alien architecture and strange proportions. Carl Johnson's engineering teams began studying captured technology, while Nancy Wright collected biological samples from a world that had evolved along similar lines to Earth. Sam Cooper activated the ship's manufacturing systems to begin producing human-designed weapons using alien technology. The fabrication bays could reshape matter at the molecular level, creating devices that combined the best of both species engineering. Within hours, the Leviathan was producing hybrid fighters and weapons that surpassed anything in human or Zephyrian arsenals. The interrogation of captured Zephyrian personnel revealed intelligence that changed everything humans thought they knew about the galaxy. Commander Thexaron of the mining garrison spoke freely about empire politics and military deployments. The Zephyrians were fighting a three-way civil war while also battling an unknown enemy species called the Devourers. Linda Davis established security protocols for handling alien prisoners who turned out to be remarkably cooperative. The Zephyrians seemed more puzzled than angry about the human attack. Many expressed surprise that the primitive species from the third planet had developed space travel so quickly. Some even seemed relieved to be captured rather than continuing to serve an increasingly desperate empire. Helen Cruz conducted psychological evaluations of the alien prisoners, trying to understand their motivations and mental processes. The Zephyrians thought in patterns similar to humans, but with subtle differences that reflected their imperial culture. They viewed conquest as natural and inevitable, but showed little personal hatred for their victims. War was simply business conducted on an interstellar scale. Danny White supervised modifications to captured Zephyrian vessels using hybrid technology developed aboard the Leviathan. Human engineers proved remarkably adaptable to alien systems, while Zephyrian designs benefited from human innovation and creativity. The combined approach produced ships superior to either species' original technology. The Kepler 442 operation concluded with complete human victory and minimal casualties. The Leviathan departed the system carrying captured technology intelligence and over 200 Zephyrian prisoners. But more importantly, they had sent a message that humanity was no longer the helpless species the aliens remembered from 3 centuries ago. Peter Kim's analysis of captured military communications revealed the Empire's reaction to the attack. Zephyrian High Command was in chaos, trying to understand how humans had acquired advanced starships and weapons. Some factions wanted immediate retaliation, while others argued for diplomatic contact. The Empire that had once threatened Earth was now afraid of human capabilities. Admiral Park received reports of the successful mission while planning humanity's next moves. The Leviathan had proven that humans could fight and win against Zephyrian forces, but one ship could not challenge an entire empire. Earth needed time to build more hybrid vessels, while the aliens remained divided and distracted by internal conflicts. As the Leviathan returned to Earth, Alex Stone reflected on how much had changed since Jake Morrison first discovered the buried alien ship. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars, but in doing so, had declared war on an empire that spanned 12 star systems. The easy part was over, and the real challenge was just beginning. The Zephyrian response came 6 months after Kepler 442 as 12 warships materialized at the edge of Earth's solar system. Admiral Victoria Park watched the sensor displays from the command center, knowing that humanity's moment of reckoning had arrived. The aliens had come seeking revenge for the mining facility attack, but they would find Earth very different from the helpless world they remembered. Captain Alex Stone commanded the Leviathan as it moved to intercept the alien fleet, accompanied by 6 human vessels upgraded with hybrid technology. The ships looked strange with their mix of human engineering and Zephyrian design elements, but they represented the best of both species' capabilities. Nexus had helped design improvements that neither race could have achieved alone. The lead Zephyrian ship broadcast a surrender demand in broken English, clearly underestimating human resolve and capabilities. Fleet Commander Zexhai Thuron speaking. Through translation software offered Earth one chance to submit peacefully before facing complete destruction. The alien commander seemed genuinely surprised when Admiral Park responded with a declaration of war rather than negotiation. Grace Mitchell analyzed the enemy formation from her intelligence station aboard the Leviathan. The Zephyrian ships were larger than human vessels but showed signs of hasty construction and poor maintenance. The Empire was clearly straining to maintain its military forces while fighting multiple conflicts across their territory. These ships represented significant investment but were not the elite forces that had originally invaded Earth. The battle began when Tony Russell led his hybrid fighter squadron in a surprise attack against the Zephyrian flagship. His pilots had trained extensively with captured alien technology and could match Zephyrian maneuvers while adding human unpredictability to their tactics. The small craft swarmed around the massive enemy ships like angry insects, seeking weak points in their defenses. Kevin Brooks monitored the Leviathan's exotic matter systems as Alex pushed the ship to its limits in combat. The alien propulsion technology allowed impossible maneuvers that defied human understanding of physics, but somehow worked perfectly. The Leviathan could change direction instantly or phase through enemy fire, making it nearly impossible for Zephyrian gunners to achieve. Target locks. The first enemy ship died when Maria Santos focused the Leviathan's main batteries on a damaged destroyer. The concentrated energy beams overwhelmed alien shields and armor, turning the warship into an expanding cloud of debris. The destruction sent shock waves through the Zephyrian formation as they realized they faced technology equal or superior to their own. Carl Johnson led engineering teams making real-time modifications to human weapons based on battle data. The hybrid systems allowed rapid adaptation that confused Zephyrian commanders expecting predictable human tactics. Earth's ships seemed to evolve during combat, becoming more effective with each passing minute as human creativity combined with alien technology. Commander Tony Russell achieved the breakthrough when his fighters disabled the Zephyrian flagship's engines, using precise strikes against vulnerable systems. The massive ship found itself dead in space, unable to maneuver, while Leviathan closed for the kill. But Alex Stone had different plans, choosing capture over destruction to gain valuable intelligence about enemy capabilities. Marine Colonel Linda Davis led the boarding assault against the crippled flagship using modified Zephyrian equipment to breach their hull. Her teams had trained extensively in alien ship layouts and knew exactly where to strike for maximum effect. The Zephyrians fought bravely but were overwhelmed by superior tactics and hybrid weapons they had never encountered before. The capture of Fleet Commander Thuron marked the turning point of the battle. Remaining Zephyrian ships found themselves leaderless and facing an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. 2 more vessels surrendered rather than face destruction, while the rest scattered, trying to escape back to Empire space. Only 4 of the original 12 ships made it home. Dr. Helen Cruz supervised the interrogation of captured Zephyrian officers using psychological techniques developed specifically for alien minds. Commander Thuron proved surprisingly cooperative once he understood that humans treated prisoners according to civilized standards. The alien officer seemed genuinely puzzled by human behavior, which differed dramatically from Zephyrian expectations. The intelligence breakthrough came when Thuron revealed that the Zephyrian Emperor was dying without a clear successor. 3. Different factions were positioning themselves for civil war, while also fighting an external enemy called the Devourers. The empire that had seemed so powerful was actually fragmenting under multiple pressures and could not afford a prolonged war with humanity. Beth Taylor worked with captured Zephyrian communication systems to intercept military traffic throughout the Empire. The alien networks carried constant reports of rebellions, supply shortages, and strategic defeats on multiple fronts. What emerged was a picture of an empire in decline, struggling to maintain control over territories it had conquered but could no longer effectively govern. Nancy Wright studied biological samples from captured Zephyrians, confirming that the species was indeed remarkably similar to humans. Both races had evolved from mammalian ancestors and showed similar psychological profiles despite different cultural development. The aliens were not monsters, but people who had been shaped by centuries of imperial expansion and conquest. Sammy. Cooper analyzed captured Zephyrian technology, finding it less advanced than humans had initially believed. The aliens had achieved interstellar travel earlier than humanity, but had not continued developing at the same pace. Their ships were reliable but unimaginative, while their weapons showed little innovation compared to human designs that incorporated alien principles. Danny White supervised repairs to battle-damaged human ships using hybrid manufacturing systems that could rebuild vessels better than their original specifications. The combination of human innovation and Zephyrian technology was producing capabilities that neither species had achieved independently. Earth's fleet was becoming something entirely new in the galaxy. Peter Kim coordinated intelligence gathering from multiple sources, building a comprehensive picture of Zephyrian space. The Empire controlled 12 star systems, but only 3 were truly secure, with the others showing various degrees of rebellion or external threat. A determined assault could potentially collapse the entire Imperial structure if properly executed. Admiral Park studied the strategic situation, knowing that humanity faced a crucial decision. They could remain on the defensive, waiting for future Zephyrian attacks, or take the war directly to the enemy homeworld. The intelligence from captured officers suggested that a bold strike might end the conflict decisively, but the risks were enormous. The proposal that emerged from strategic planning sessions was audacious beyond anything humans had previously attempted. Captain Stone would take the Leviathan and its escort fleet directly to the Zephyrian home system, striking at the heart of the Empire while it was distracted by civil war. Success would eliminate the threat to Earth forever, but failure could result in massive retaliation. As preparations began for the assault on Arcturus Prime, Alex Stone reflected on how far humanity had come since Jake Morrison's discovery in Montana. Earth had evolved from a target for alien conquest to a major military power capable of challenging an interstellar empire. The hunters had become the hunted, but the final outcome remained to be determined among the stars. The Leviathan emerged from hyperspace directly above Arcturus Prime, catching the Zephyrian homeworld completely unprepared for attack. Captain Alex Stone had gambled everything on surprise, and the strategy worked perfectly as orbital defense. Stations scrambled to respond to an enemy that should not exist. The massive human ship hung in space above the alien capital like an avenging angel come to deliver justice. Admiral Victoria Park coordinated the assault from Earth, watching real-time sensor data transmitted across interstellar distances. The attack on the Empire's heart represented humanity's greatest military operation and its most desperate gamble. If the Leviathan failed here, Earth would face retaliation from whatever remained of Zephyrian military power. Success or failure would determine the future of both species. Engineer Sam Cooper activated the ship's hybrid weapon systems, as Zephyrian defense platforms finally began firing on the Leviathan. The alien weapons were powerful, but designed to stop invasion fleets, not single ships with advanced shielding technology. Energy beams that should have destroyed the human vessel dissipated harmlessly against barriers that combined human innovation with Zephyrian engineering principles. The psychological impact of the attack spread across Arcturus Prime as Sam Cooper hacked into the planetary communication networks. His broadcast reached every Zephyrian citizen, simultaneously showing them the impossible sight of human ships in their home system. The species they had dismissed as primitive animals had brought war to the very center of their empire. Grace Mitchell analyzed enemy response patterns from her intelligence station, noting the confusion and panic spreading through Zephyrian command structures. 3 centuries of imperial dominance had made them complacent about homeland security. The idea that conquered species might develop enough to threaten the homeworld simply had not occurred to Zephyrian planners. Tony Russell led fighter squadrons against orbital installations that protected the capital city below. His pilots had become masters of hybrid technology, combining human reflexes with alien engineering to achieve impossible maneuvers. The Zephyrian defenders flew predictable patterns, while human fighters moved like living things, responding to instinct as much as training. The Imperial Guard fleet arrived piecemeal as individual ships responded to the emergency. Commander Beth Taylor coordinated electronic warfare against enemy vessels using captured Zephyrian codes to confuse their targeting systems. The aliens found their own technology turned against them as human operators proved more adaptable than the rigid programming that controlled Zephyrian computers. Kevin Brooks pushed the Leviathan's exotic matter systems beyond safe parameters as Alex Stone maneuvered the massive ship through orbital space. The alien technology responded to human determination with capabilities its original builders had never imagined. Physics bent around the ship as it danced between enemy formations too large to be so agile. Nexus provided tactical analysis while coordinating with human crew members it had grown to respect during their years working together. The AI had initially served Zephyrian masters, but now considered itself part of humanity's family. Its knowledge of enemy weaknesses proved decisive as Imperial Guard ships fell to precisely targeted strikes against critical systems. Marine Colonel Linda Davis launched assault pods against the primary defense station controlling Arcturus Prime's planetary shields. Her teams had trained for this moment using captured Zephyrian equipment and intelligence provided by interrogated prisoners. The aliens fought desperately, but found themselves outmatched by human tactics they could not predict or counter. The breakthrough came when Peter Kim's Special Forces unit captured the main communication relay connecting Arcturus Prime to the rest of the Empire. Human control of Zephyrian networks allowed real-time intelligence about enemy movements, while denying the aliens coordination between their scattered forces. The Empire's greatest strength became its greatest weakness. Dr. Helen Cruz monitored psychological profiles of enemy personnel, noting the rapid collapse of Zephyrian morale as their supposedly invincible empire crumbled around them. Centuries of imperial arrogance had not prepared them for facing an enemy that matched their technology, while surpassing their adaptability. Many alien units simply stopped fighting when victory became obviously impossible. The final battle occurred in high orbit above the capital city as the remaining Imperial Guard ships made their last stand. Danny White coordinated damage control teams while Maria Santos focused all available firepower on the Zephyrian flagship. The ancient vessel had served the Empire for over a century, but could not match hybrid weapons designed by species working together. Emperor Vexashan died in his palace as human bombardment targeted the Imperial compound with surgical precision. The ancient ruler had never imagined that the primitive species from Earth could threaten his empire, let alone destroy it. His death marked the end of Zephyrian imperial power and the beginning of humanity's emergence as a galactic force. The collapse of central authority triggered immediate chaos throughout Zephyrian space as provincial governors declared independence, while military commanders fought over remaining resources. The empire that had seemed so powerful fragmented within hours of the emperor's death, proving how fragile authoritarian systems become when their foundations are removed. Carl Johnson's analysis teams discovered the truth about the Devourer threat while examining captured Imperial archives. The mysterious enemy that had forced Zephyrian expansion toward Earth was indeed real and represented a danger to all intelligent life in the galaxy. The Zephyrians had been fighting a defensive war while also trying to expand their territory. Nancy. Wright found evidence in biological databases that the Devourers were silicon-based entities that consumed organic matter on an industrial scale. They had already destroyed dozens of civilizations and were systematically working their way through the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire had been a barrier against this threat, even while threatening species like humanity. The revelation changed everything. Humans thought they knew about the war. Captain Stone found himself commanding the most powerful ship in known space, while facing an enemy that made Zephyrian conquest look benevolent. The Devourers did not seek to rule other species, but to eliminate them entirely. Survival required cooperation, not continued conflict. Admiral Park received Alex's transmission, requesting permission to negotiate with surviving Zephyrian leaders, rather than completing their destruction. The strategic situation had shifted dramatically, with the discovery of a greater threat that endangered both species. Humanity needed allies, not subjects, if they hoped to survive what was coming from deeper in the galaxy. The alliance negotiations took place aboard the Leviathan with representatives from both species working to overcome centuries of mutual hostility. Former Fleet Commander Thuron served as chief Zephyrian negotiator, using his understanding of human psychology to bridge cultural differences. Both sides recognized that cooperation offered their only hope for survival. The treaty signed in orbit above Arcturus Prime established humanity as the dominant military power in local space, while guaranteeing Zephyrian autonomy under human protection. The Leviathan would serve as flagship for a combined fleet preparing to face the Devourer threat. Former enemies became reluctant allies united by necessity and mutual respect. Captain Stone stood on the bridge looking out at a mixed formation of human and Zephyrian vessels preparing for their first joint patrol. The ship that began as a symbol of alien oppression had become the foundation for galactic cooperation. Humanity had not merely survived first contact, but had emerged as leaders in the fight for all organic life. The final message transmitted to Earth carried news of victory and warning about greater challenges ahead. Jake Morrison's discovery in Natchitab, a Montana mine, had led to humanity joining a galactic community under threat from forces beyond imagination. The simple miner who found buried alien technology had unknowingly started the sequence of events that would determine the survival of intelligent life in the galaxy.